guest for today. And for those of you that have been attending the webinars, I'm sure he's not a stranger. He's a known face. He's part of the family. And I would like to introduce him formally before I yield the mic to him. So let's just quickly give honor to whom honor is due. Let's go through profile of Mr. Amos Atafa. So Mr. Amos is a curriculum framework consultant. He's actually an AI and US admission specialist. And he is a STEM pioneer, a leader, a humanitarian, and an entrepreneur. He has been working on introducing the world to the next level in science and mathematics education using the history and philosophy of science along with applications from various fields of STEM. Amos has bachelor's in chemistry with a minor in philosophy, a master's degree in medical physics, and a second master's degree in medical health physics. He has gone ahead to complete a year of his PhD program in chemistry and STEM education. Amos the Mad Guy is widely known as developed a signature framework for teaching called Counting to Calculus. I'm sure we're going to be hearing more of that in the course of this webinar. It is a curriculum framework which can guide every student from basic maths all the way to advanced mathematics, calculus 1, 2, 3, and more, chemistry, physics, engineering, and computer science. After completing Amos's revolutionary STEM program and taking the appropriate CLEP test, the students will have access to more than 30 transferable college credits while still in high school. I'm sure he's also going to talk about that. Amos the Mad Guy started Learning Institute for Excellence, also known as LIFE, in 2013, which provides academic tutoring and coaching in multiple subjects, the SAT and ACT, and education consulting to school. All right, he is now based in Texas with his wife, Stephanie. Sure, he would want us to join him there because of all the activities happening over there. And he works as a diagnostic and nuclear medicine physicist in East Texas and teaches at the Letourneau University in Longview, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, it's always an honor, it's always a privilege, it's always very exciting to have Mr. Amos with us today. And I want you to please get your notebook, your pen, your thinking cap, get ready to be inspired as we yield the mic this time to Mr. Amos Tafa. Good evening, sir. It's good to have you with us tonight.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me well? Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm excited to be here. Today, I'm hoping to get the students thinking about the changes that their generation is encountering and how to make sense of education and supercharging their learning in the age of AI. One of the words that one of the things I want to put in my title to really get the students to realize is that you're living in a revolution, and it is important to understand what that means. I'm going to explain quickly another revolution that I think if you understand that revolution, or two revolutions, I guess, you understand why you're living at such a critical time in history. Before 1600, there was something, or around 1600, there was something that happened, and it was called the scientific revolution. Now, students, you might be familiar with something called the scientific revolution. Let me see, give me 1 second. So the scientific revolution, and what happened with the scientific revolution is that people thought that the sun was moving around the earth and that the earth was the center of the solar system. But there was a man named Nicholas Copernicus who said that, no, the sun is the center and the planets are moving around the sun. He wrote his book around 1550, but he had his ideas probably around 1530. Prior to Copernicus, there was another man named Johannes Gutenberg that had given us the printing press revolution of a sort, right? If the printing press changed how we interacted with text. So the printing press came in about 1460, 1450, 1460. And then the scientific revolution came around 1550, the write-up, and then, of course, the all the motion of different things started happening around the 1500s. The printing press made dissemination of information much faster. Then we entered the 17th century with Isaac Newton. Because of the scientific revolution, it changed how science was done moving forward. Revolutions don't just change things a little bit and then you carry on like you were going. No, revolutions change things dramatically. Then we got another revolution that happened in the 1800s called the Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution now brought machines, more machines, into work that was being done. So we have the Scientific Revolution, we have the Industrial Revolution. What is happening now, students, is called the AI revolution. I don't know if you understand the gravity of the AI revolution. So I want to explain the gravity first. Education was not ready for AI. I repeat, education was not ready for AI. When AI came into education, it destroyed the model. But before it came, something else had already destroyed the model, but we didn't see the effect, and that was Google. Google actually destroyed modern education. Let me explain. Remember when I told you about that industrial revolution that happened? When that industrial revolution happened, we then had to start taking children out of the factories. Children used to work in factories, yes, in very unhealthy conditions. And then we got to a point where we realized, no, these children should go somewhere and learn. They shouldn't just be in the factories all day. So then we created schools. But then we had to put the schools a certain way. Just today, let me tell you what I just read. Just today, an article just came out saying that there are now two types of schools in the world. The ones that have adopted agentic AI and the ones who have not. The ones who have not will become obsolete. Why would that article? This is on LinkedIn. This is big. Like this is huge. They're basically saying we now have tools to customize education for every child on every subject. That means that the limiting reagent for how much you need to learn for any subject is you. It's no longer your teachers. It's no longer anything. It's you and me. If I want to learn quantum physics, I am the limiting reagent. Nobody is stopping me. But here's the crazy thing, because people will talk about AI and what are the downsides of AI. But here's what people don't realize. The democratization of knowledge, the increase in the availability of knowledge has nothing to do with AI. Let me repeat. The availability of knowledge has nothing to do with AI. It has to do first with Google. Why is Google important in this conversation? And we're going to bring AI back in a second. Because in 1998, when Google released the ability for people to go online and find any book they wanted at any time, that was a game changer. That was huge. But I don't think we paid attention back then. Let me explain why that was huge. When I was in primary school, when I was in primary school, I remember seeing something that is called like a multiple choice paper where you fill in the answer on the multiple choice exams. And I was wondering, what is this thing? And, what is it about? I was in, let's say, primary school or early JSS1 or something like that. And somebody told me, oh, that is something you will learn about when you go to secondary school. So there were certain pieces of knowledge I couldn't acquire because they were not available to me at the time. Then Google came. Now, I didn't have Google. We didn't have Google readily available to us growing up. But imagine now a student who says, I'm in 5th grade, but I'm so fascinated by physics. Can I see the textbook that is used at MIT for physics? Students, do you know you have access to pretty much any textbook in the world now? If you want it, that is huge. That means that if the textbook your teacher is using right now is not very good, you can use a different textbook. Like, nobody says you need to know photosynthesis using only the textbook your teacher is using. Why can't you read it from another book? See, I think that some people are maybe just not aware of what's available to them. Let me give you an example of how this plays out in a classroom. So before we talk about AI, we need to talk about the resources available to you that are not in question. Textbooks that are well written by well-educated people, they are good resources for you. Now, AI is very good, but let's make sure we know that we have access to world-class textbooks and they're readily available. MIT has lectures that are readily available. Harvard, Stanford, Berkeley, all these things are out there for everybody. And sometimes again, I'm guilty of this too, but we forget that these resources are out there, and instead we use YouTube for entertainment, but we don't use it for education. These websites and Oxford and Cambridge, they have excellent materials online. We need to use those resources first. Make sure we know how to use them because those have been vetted. That is very important. Now, AI can come in, but you need to know where to go to double check AI. And where you go to double check AI is some of those tools that existed before AI and that were used to train AI. Because some of these tools that I'm discussing with you now, they were built by, like AI was built on top of them. AI was built on top of the free resources online. So when AI was trained, it was trained with the whole internet. Now, when AI generates something for you, it's generally trying to generate it from the internet, but it can make mistakes, but you know where to go back to figure out if it was a mistake. That is very important to know how to do that. You should know how to use AI, but you should also know how to use Google and other tools like Wolfram Alpha and Mathematica. These are tools that you should be able to use. These are tools that engineers use. Engineers that are building rockets that are flying out of Texas, they are using tools like the ones that I'm discussing with you on this call. So before we dive into supercharging your learning with AI, let me say one more thing. Grade-based learning is in trouble. Grade-based learning is in trouble. And the reason why it's in trouble is because when it was designed, students only had access to what was relevant to them at that grade. Now, all the doors have been opened. This is very important. Why do students struggle in school sometimes? After I explain this, I'm going to actually show you AI tools, and we're going to use the AI tools in real time. Why do students struggle in school sometimes? Because we don't tell them the whole picture. If we told students the whole picture, they would be able to understand better what they're studying and do better at what they're learning. Imagine me trying to teach you mathematics, but I don't tell you what the point of the mathematics is. Your brain is literally trying to find where to put the knowledge you're gaining. Like, where should this knowledge go? We sometimes don't give you context. We just give you knowledge and we expect you to memorize it and take a test. My friends, those days are over. The world doesn't need more test takers and test passers. Should you pass your test? Yes, but that's not what the world needs now. The world needs people that are innovative, creative, know how to learn, and know how to use AI. That's what the world needs. So what you want to do is, yes, pass all your tests in flying colors, and I'm going to tell you how to do that, but do you know how to learn? If I gave you a new concept right now that nobody has ever taught you ever before, how fast will it take you to learn it? That is the new yardstick of success. Not in the past knowledge that we can regurgitate. That's not enough in this age. As a matter of fact, a man in London, Demis Hassabis, Nobel Prize winner in chemistry last year, listen to what he said. He said that the time has come where it's not as important what you know, but if you know how to learn. That's what he says. It's no longer as important about knowing what you know. It's about knowing how to learn. And that's where AI comes in. AI can be a great tool in teaching you how to learn. So we're going to switch over to two AI models, and I'm going to show you how to learn. But before I do that, please type in the chat, what subjects are you studying for? Let's try to make the AI model go based on what we are discussing on the call, because I don't want to be talking of examples in a subject that nobody's taking. What subjects are we learning in school? Can you guys type it in the chat? What subjects are you trying to supercharge your learning in? Okay, computer science, that's excellent. Let's see the topics. Let's take another 1 minute. Just type in, what topics would you like to learn? Because I'm going to be looking at physics, for example, of course, mathematics, any other subjects. chemistry, biology, okay, geography, okay. We have computer science already. Even foreign languages, we're not going to use that today, but AI can help you with foreign languages, right? For a little bit of that conversational piece, because AI can be used on different languages, right? Do you guys know that 50% of AI scientists are from China? Did you guys? I don't know if you knew that. So somebody once asked me something about if AI could be used in another language, and I'm like, well, the people who are doing a lot of the programming are not even English, they don't speak English as a first language, which is again not a bad thing. I'm just saying they speak Chinese. So AI has to understand all these different languages, and AI can learn languages as well. So let's use the examples we have. There are two categories. Let me share my screen. There are two categories of the sciences. The first one is called the mathematical sciences, and the second one is called the biological sciences. This is called Claude Anthropic. It's one of the best tools for learning computer science or programming with AI, with the AI world. And what you can do is you can literally prompt the AI to give you a study plan. Give me a study plan for how to learn Python programming in 8 weeks. Notice you give it a timeline. You tell it what you want to learn. Give me 1 second. You tell it what you want to learn, and you give it a timeline. And basically, AI has all the tools for Python programming, and it gives you an 8-week plan. And that's just a start. We're just starting somewhere. What do you want to learn? You tell AI, I want to learn about whatever. Break it down into a specific timeline. How long do you want to learn? How long before your exam? Okay, let's say a student is studying for the SAT and they are taking it in 6 weeks. Provide a study plan. Okay, so you can use it for study plans, right? That's the first application of AI. AI gives you a way, almost like a secretary and a project manager. Now, I've taught the SAT for like 15 years. I'm going to look at this and I'm going to tell you what I think of what it does. The first thing it does is it says you need to do an assessment. That is true, right? You have to do an assessment. So the AI has given you that first baseline expectation. Find out your weak areas. Then it tells you what to do in week 1. It tells you about the math. It tells you about all those things about doing practice tests. It tells you about the reading and writing. Great. It gave you a plan for week 1. It gave you a plan for week 2 and week 3 and so on and so forth. But notice that in real time, you can do this for any exam. Break it down to a certain time period. Then it gives you some daily habits throughout all the 6 weeks. What you need to realize is that AI knows about all the study plans that have ever been uploaded on the internet, and it can use that to generate this response that you're looking at. That's pretty straightforward. Get 7 to 8 hours of sleep, stay physically active to manage stress. Claude does a great job. Okay, so that's that. That's number 1. Use AI for creating study plans. Number 2, I want to be the best in calculus in my school. Provide me with a list of topics to master. Okay, so now I tell AI, give me the list for a specific course, give me the list to master. It's giving you a list. When you're dealing with things that are like lists, like this, AI will eat it up because that's part of how it was trained. It was trained on math. So all these topics are taught in calculus, all of them. And guess what? I tell it, okay, I've seen all the topics you've given, and I'm going to say, I want to understand L'Hopital's rule. So I grab L'Hopital's rule and I put it in the chat and say, give me examples and the history of L'Hopital's rule. Okay, here's the thing. I have a GPT that I've built and does some of this kind of stuff in terms of telling you the history. But look at what it does. I told it a specific topic I wanted to learn. It gives me an example, example 1, example 2, example 3, and then it's going to give me the history of L'Hopital. And you guys will see that the history is actually funny because the L'Hopital rule doesn't come from L'Hopital. And you'll see why in a second. It doesn't come from L'Hopital. It actually comes from his teacher, Johann Bernoulli. So notice that as I'm reading this, I know when AI is lying. If AI is going to lie, I can catch it because I have prior knowledge, right? So when you have prior knowledge, you can bring that to the AI tools you're using. Prior knowledge still matters. but it is a good place to then build on top of, right? So I've studied L'Hopital's rule. I know about Bernoulli, and I know that Bernoulli is the one behind it, right? In a sense, it's named after L'Hopital because I guess he was one paying for the classes. Bernoulli, well, actually, there's a whole controversy. We're not going to go into that. Bernoulli discovered it. Bernoulli was a phenomenal mathematician, and it tells you all of that. But notice what we did. Let's go back to the top. We said, what are the topics I need to know for calculus? Then we took a topic and we said, give me examples. But there's another tool that people don't talk about enough called Wolfram Alpha. Wolfram Alpha is a tool that existed before AI. Wolfram Alpha existed long ago. Now, let me just say this. You don't have to worry about hallucinations when you're dealing with Wolfram Alpha like you do with AI, right? Especially with their old edition. These were built a different way back in the day, right? Now, of course, they're probably going to integrate some AI. But Wolfram Alpha was a very good tool for learning mathematics, right? It will show you step by step what you need to do. Notice that it starts from basic mathematics all the way to advanced mathematics. I'm not exaggerating when I tell you this, but I think that Wolfram is probably one of the smartest people the world has ever had. These guys, well, him and his brother, but the one I'm talking about, I believe his name is Steve, and he's from England. They're from England. And they created an amazing tool that is used now by mathematicians called Mathematica. And Mathematica is from Wolfram as well. And it is also very similar architecture. Anything that has to do with math or science, you need to be aware that there are tools out there for you, Mathematica and Wolfram Alpha. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much time here, but the point I'm trying to make is your generation is blessed. You guys have tools like nobody's business. Like these are tools that none of us had growing up. These are tools that will show you step by step how to do any problem. Wolfram Alpha, again, very good tool. And then I'm going to introduce you to one more tool called Manus AI. Manus AI is an agentic AI system. And I'm actually going to ask it, I'm going to use the chat version. And I'm going to say, what is the difference between classical computing and accelerated computing? And I'm going to show you why I'm asking this question in a second. Manus AI doesn't just answer questions. Manus AI can build websites. It can design a textbook for you. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to create a module of this after it gives us the answer. So it's creating an answer just like you know about ChatGPT and generative AI. But here's the difference. I'm going to tell it, create an hour lecture for students in the UK and Nigeria from 14 to 18 on this topic, along with slides and a website to introduce them to these concepts. Okay, guys, this does not exist anywhere. What we're about to do, this is the first time we're doing this. We're going to start the agent and we're going to give it a question. We are now telling the agent to create a website and a series of slides and curriculum for classical versus accelerated computing. Then we're going to fact check what it creates against Claude and another AI model. So what it's going to do is it's going to research, and you'll see the exact websites. You can actually see the websites as it's doing the research. The thing about Claude is look at Manus AI. Look at this screen on the right. Do you see that it's literally visiting the IBM website right now as I'm talking, and it's grabbing content from IBM. Then it went to AMD and NVIDIA. It's working for me right now. Like I basically sent it to go to work, and it's going to work in real time. AMD is the competitor to NVIDIA. It's going to the Intel website. It's doing research. Anyways, I'm going to close the research out here. But my point is, we need to realize that we have an assistant. Everybody now has an assistant. What is your study plan? Does it involve building PDFs and PowerPoint for your classes, meeting you at your specific point of struggle in any class? That is part of what AI can do. And so I want to encourage you to realize whatever you want to learn, you can use AI to help you learn it much more effectively. Someone said cloud engineering. That's a very good field. let me make a quick point here. I'm going to come back to, and then we'll come back to AI tools. So we've given the AI an assignment in the background. Guess what? That calculus thing that we were working on, I'm going to tell Claude to make a website showing how calculus connects to chemistry, physics, computer science, and AI. Okay. So now we've told Claude to go to work. So we've sent all our AI agents. They've gone to work. Let's talk while they work in the background. Guys, do you understand that everybody now has people, well, not people, agents, right? They're called. You can have your agent be like, find the best chemistry classes in the world, pull out their PDFs, put it into one PDF for me, and give it to me so I use it to learn chemistry. You can literally do what I just said, and the AI will do that for you. Like, I don't think people understand what they have in their hands. And if they did, the last thing they would be worried about is getting an A in a class, because getting an A is like, that's nothing. What they'll be focused on is how to win the Nobel Prize. Like, that's where they'll be focused. They'll be like, how can I be thinking ahead on winning the Nobel Prize? Like, that's what I want students to start thinking about. Because the tools to learn the content that your schools need you to learn, we have it all. It's all on these AI systems. But the question now is, what should you do with your time? If you have all these tools, should you just sit there memorizing just to pass the test? No, you have to go above. How do you go above? Start thinking big picture. What do I want to do with my life? And how can I use AI to get me to be the most competent person in that field? That is where your mind should be. Students, there are schools in America right now where students go to school for 2 hours a day. I mean, they only go for their classes for 2 hours a day. True story. It's just an hour from me right here. They're paying about $40,000 to $50,000 a year for their tuition. They go to school for 2 hours a day. In the afternoon, they start businesses. They go to the community. They serve the community. They're doing a lot of things in the community. Everybody knows about them. They're called the Alpha School. Do you know that the students are scoring higher than 99% of the whole country right now? Those students I just told you about. What are they doing in that school? They are using AI tutors. They are using AI applications. Do you know that the US sent their Secretary of Education to that school, and the Secretary of Education, or the Minister of Education as they call it in Nigeria, came to the school and said, we love what you're doing. More schools essentially need to learn from you. Here's what that means. In countries like America, AI is being put side by side with students learning. That means that they are supercharging their learning, and it's giving them precisely what they need for what they're learning. And they are making 4 years of gains in 1 year. Some of them are learning 3 to 4 years of material in 1 year. The sky is the limit. There's no, like, you can think, just think outside the box. Remember, what does it take to get an A in a subject? Understanding the materials and understanding how it connects to everything. That is how we get A's in subjects. But when you have a bigger vision that goes beyond the subject itself, you're more likely to be a master in that subject. We will start seeing 15-year-olds that are masters in physics. Do you know that the president of a university in Arizona yesterday said that we are going to get to a point where you can basically get a PhD in a matter of months? That's where we're going. You can get a PhD in a matter of months. That's what will happen when all these AI tools are fully active. Because the amount of research AI can do in 1 day would take a human being probably 4 to 5 weeks. Just think about that. The amount of research AI can do in 1 day can take a human being probably 4 to 5 weeks, and in some cases a year. AI can do it in a day because it has parallel computing capability, accelerated computing. So I want you to remember, there is no limits. Think outside the box. This is a new dawn. Take advantage of that. Get the A's, but more importantly, start your business. Wait a second. I thought this was about supercharging my learning. You can be the best in the world in computer science, and if you don't have other skills and tools, I'm sorry to say, some businesses just don't care as much anymore. That means you need to find a way to stand out. And that's where entrepreneurship comes in. Learn AI, build AI, start new things, sell yourself to the colleges as somebody who has started things and changed whatever, right? I've used AI to change something in my community. I used AI to write a textbook that can be used, and it has been vetted because I worked in conjunction with the professor to check all the chapters. There are so many opportunities. Don't limit yourself. Let me go back. Let's go back to our AI tool that we gave homework, right? Look how fast AI works. We're going back. You saw when we gave it the homework, right? Actually, give me 1 second. I'm going to go back here. And let me see. Okay, let me go back to Manus. And with Manus, remember we told Manus that we wanted accelerated computing and classical computing. I'm going to pull up the results. Give me 1 second. So I'm going to just say Manus AI, and it's going to pull up the results for us. Just give it 1 second. It's loading here. Before we go into more with Manus and just what it has created as a sample, I want to encourage you again. The first question is, what are you studying? Number 2, what is your timeline? Number 3, do you know what's available to you in terms of Google, Wolfram Alpha? Do you know how to use those tools? And then number 4, do you know how to have it deliver like what Manus is doing? Can you take a study plan and execute on that study plan? These are things that you want to make sure you learn in the era of AI. By the way, look at Claude. Look at what Claude is doing in real time. It's writing the code. The CEO of Claude said that about 80 to 90% of their code is now written by AI. That is crazy. He said that there are many people talking about the fact that they want all their, basically all their code to be generated by AI. That is unbelievable to think that we are going to move up to 90% of code generated by AI. What does this mean for those who want to go into software? You have to pay attention to what's going on. If you want to go into software, you really have to pay attention to what's going on in the AI space, because one of the goals of a lot of AI companies is actually to remove the need for writing software by hand or like from scratch. So you have to be thinking outside the box and stand out. And this is already happening in America. NVIDIA software developers are using AI side by side. You should still know software. You should still know AI, but I'm just saying you need to know how to work with both of them at the same time. Okay, sorry, it's a little slow here, but it'll be ready in a second and I'll come back. I want to stop and answer practical questions while the code is being written by Claude, and then I'll show you guys the website, which will be deployed before our call is over. Let's just take some questions, have some interaction, and then come back and look at our code and our website that has been generated. So, Mr. Ernest, do we have any questions lingering about supercharging our learning with AI?
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Always a very, very insightful. Can you hear me?
Actually, Mr. Ernest, can you give me 1 second?
Okay.
It dropped it. Guys, look at this. This is what I told it, right? I don't know classical or accelerated computing. I said, write it, make me the slides, right? I can go back and check because we have the background knowledge, right? You guys are seeing this just happened, right? It generated the slides. It told you the difference between serial processing and parallel processing, which will come up, right? It's showing you the key lessons. This is something now that you can go and vet. Guys, I understand the downside of AI, and I'll tell you now what that downside is. This idea of something called hallucinations, mistakes that can happen. But let me say this. When you're looking for a topic like computer science or math, that is what AI was built on. So that's not where AI gets itself in trouble. Where AI gets itself in trouble is when you're trying to tell it to write you an essay on something that it hasn't been trained on. But when it comes to computers and math, AI, oh yeah, you could trust that AI does a lot of that, right? And look at the percentage. It is quite accurate if you look at how well it does. But what I would do is you take something like this, you download it, and then you put it into another system and ask, verify every detail in this document. And it will verify in 30 seconds and tell you the source of every text, every item here. I'm building a program called the Super Intelligence Team in Africa. And what I'm trying to do is I'm building a team of people in Nigeria that will vet every PowerPoint. If I'm going to use it, I want them to vet every slide and research every topic that is mentioned to make sure that every slide is accurate. That is where super intelligence comes in, I call it, where you bring AI and human intelligence. this is the slides. But remember, we told it to build a website. You guys remember? We also told it to build a website. Guess what? That website is about to be deployed and will be live in 1 second. What I just did here, you can do it for any subject in the world that you want to learn. You put it into the agentic AI system, you put it into the generative AI system, you cross-check and you double-check with your tutor. That is how I would use it if I was a student. I would double-check whatever it creates with my tutors, and once my tutors say you're good to go, then you're good to go. So here are the tools that I use. I recommend Claude from Anthropic. That's the first one. So it's from Anthropic. It's called Claude. Does anyone know why it's called Claude? Let me give you guys bonus question for the day. And then I use Manus AI for agentic AI. Does anyone know the answer? Why is it called Claude? What is the reason for that name? Anyone want to take a guess? If you want to unmute your mic or put up your hand and say, just go ahead. Why is it called Claude? And I'll give you one more for the agentic AI. Claude is the best tool, one of the best for coding and project management, actually. Claude would probably be one of the best. They do well with design now as well, but Claude is known for coding and as one of their main things. ChatGPT is also good for some of that, but I'm personally now moving over to Claude full time. So that's what I use is Claude. And then, there's Cursor, there's Codex tied to ChatGPT. But I would say Claude and then Manus AI for agentic AI. There's something called Replit, which is also useful for agentic AI, agentic workflows. So you have Manus AI, which I'll put in the chat, and then Claude for generative AI. Sorry, Mr. Ernest, sorry I interrupted you. I wanted to just show you that the slides were done. I'm going to just check one last time before I let you welcome more questions. I think our website is about to deploy, and I'll share it in the chat. And then Python. Can I just show one more thing, Mr. Ernest, and then it's yours. Here's you guys remember I told you about Claude? Again, it doesn't matter what you want to learn. Take AI as a tool and like co-work. They say call it like working with the AI tools. This was just built right now on this call. Can everybody see this? Look at this. This was just built right now. Calculus, the universal language of science. I told it to connect it to physics, chemistry, computer science, and artificial intelligence. Guys, I'm looking at this, knowing calculus or knowing mathematics, and I'm able to say, yep, that's true. I'm looking at the examples. Yep, that's true. It even tried to do, why? Look at what AI is doing. AI is trying to show off. It built an interactive website in real time. Look at Newton's second law of motion, energy and work, electromagnetism. Guys, I can study any of these fields more by using AI as a tool to create my own website, my own pace, my own textbook. Textbook writers are in trouble because anybody can write their own textbook now fast and double check it. So textbook writers are already thinking of how to probably deploy AI. I just want you to know, and I'm sure they're already doing that, but you can download the code and you can verify the code. You can make some edits to the code. You can put it in a code editor. Guys, we just created a calculus study plan connected to physics, connected to chemistry, connected to computer science. Do you see how it's changing? You could change it to artificial intelligence. Look at gradient descent, a big topic of AI. It's created it for us with parameters, back propagation, chain rule. But notice that AI depends on calculus, loss functions, and optimization. I hope you guys are seeing this was all just made right now for me because I wanted it for me. This will supercharge my learning, and I can use it to learn anything I want to learn by just telling it, okay, add economics applications. And guess what? I will say, and use the Wealth of Nations, and use the Wealth of Nations, which is by Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, use examples from the Wealth of Nations. Okay? And Dr. Thomas Sowell. Okay, guys, we literally take what it's giving us and we tell it what to do more of. So then it comes over here and it's going to add economics. It's going to give us examples economics. I'm literally building my own education system in real time as you're watching. How crazy is that? Look at this. How long did it take before we got economics? Right? And it's going to load, but look at that. It already added that tab. Okay, Mr. Ernest, sorry I got so excited, but I want students to see what they can make in real time to help them learn anything they want to learn in the world at the pace they want to learn it. Okay, I'm done. Back to you, Mr. Ernest.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Amos. I wasn't going to stop it. I was just going to allow you to go on and on and on. I'm sure everyone is just paying close attention, to really learn, to really get to understand how these AI tools really work. It's just so exciting. And of course, we can't thank you enough. Just seeing all of this maths, I'm sure if we had AI, all of these AI tools, then maybe I would have been a better mathematician. I wouldn't have been this scared. All right. I think we have some questions. So feel free to ask your questions. If you want to ask, you can also put up your hand. There's a question here from Praise. Let me quickly read that.
He answered the question of Claude. Congratulations, you're correct. The reason why it's called Claude is because of a man named Shannon Claude. He changed the world. Everybody on this call, please look up Shannon Claude. That's why you and I are having this call right now. It's because of Shannon Claude. So remember him. And that's why they named their app Claude. Okay, back to you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll just take this question from Praise. It said that software engineers will be less needed. AI can write codes in seconds compared to humans. What else do you think will come from AI, and how can we be more competitive? Praise. I guess she's really looking into that field and now really want to know, with the advent of AI and all of that, how can we really stay competitive and the kind of jobs that one can look out for.
Yeah, so I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I live near Austin, and there are a lot of people who are nervous about their jobs. I'm being very honest with you. They're very nervous because they're watching what AI is doing, and they're wondering, am I going to be okay? So if you don't mind, I'll tell you the big truth on this issue. AI will disrupt computer science. It will write code. Should you learn to code? Yes. But not so you can get a job, because that's not necessarily why you would, again, AI is writing code so much now. 80% of code for some companies is all written by AI. What you should learn, though, is mathematics and physics. Make sure you're very good at those two things. Why? Because AI depends on those two things. AI depends on mathematics and physics. So make sure you're very good in math and physics and economics, because economics actually has a role to play in all of this. One thing I was going to mention earlier on the call, and I didn't have a chance to say it, and I'll say it now, is in the top 20 jobs of the next 10 to 15 years, almost every one of them has to do with mathematics. Almost every one of them, engineering, physics, chemistry, a lot of math. So everybody needs to get better at math. That's number one. Number two, everybody needs to understand physics at some level, because quantum computing hasn't come yet, but it's coming. It hasn't come to full scale yet. And you are entering the realm of quantum computing. So you want to be ready. And the way you're going to be ready is physics. Chemistry is also going to keep growing because of material science. We need materials for sending people to space. So chemistry is growing. All branches of engineering are going to grow because you need engineering to go to space. So the fields that are growing in large numbers are engineering, mathematics, physics, chemistry, economics, cybersecurity, cloud computing. Notice that all of these are STEM. Be the best you can be and use AI as a tool to supercharge your learning for mathematics by asking AI, give me 5 examples. Give me 5. Do you see what I'm saying? Use AI to bounce problems and then write your answer somewhere so you can review your notes. But my advice would be economics, finance, STEM, yes, and philosophy. But learn philosophy for the sake of understanding what is going to happen, not so much for a job. Nothing that we should be learning now should only be tied to our jobs. It should also be tied to our humanity and our understanding, because that's the era that we're living in. These are very interesting times, and the people that have soft skills, understand communication and philosophy, and STEM are the ones who are going to run the show. And lastly, entrepreneurship and business. You have to learn to start a business. You have to learn to do those things because the times are very uncertain. And Microsoft has let go of 10,000 people from their staff because AI is writing a lot of the code now for them. And that's one of their reasons. So I just want you to know that there are going to be jobs, but they're probably going to be AI type jobs, AI engineers, AI this, engineers, and all of that. But you'll be okay if you're very good at your craft. Make sure you keep working on your math and your physics and your programming, and make sure you learn philosophy, humanities, and economics. That's what I think will open doors for many people.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. I see that Emanuela just joined us. Wow, Emanuela, you missed quite a lot. You missed quite a lot. So one of the things we've experienced, Mr. Amos, when we interact with parents, we observe that a number of parents are, I don't want to say they are concerned, maybe scared. Whenever AI is mentioned, some will even go as far as telling you, "Oh, don't get my child involved with that." You don't want them to get so lazy, just be so dependent on AI, and that might affect their critical thinking. That will affect their development academically. So, how do we now create this balance? How do we, maybe as students, how can they create a balance between using AI tools and also developing their critical thinking skills?
Parents, if your child doesn't have a calculator and I tell them what is 5,922 divided by 1,005, your child might say, I don't know, let me take time and write it down. But when your child has a calculator, we can ask them complicated questions, right? Parents, AI is just like a computer. It's a computer. That's all it is. AI is the same thing in terms of it's a computer. So people that might think, AI looks weird, blah, blah. AI is just a fast computer. That's all it is. It's a very fast computer. And so I want to encourage parents to realize AI is a computer. That's all it is. And everybody is going to see it everywhere they go. It is now in the cars that are built. It is now in the medical equipment that is built. AI is now in everything. You can't leave AI alone. It's everywhere. What happens though is when you bring it to education, remember when I told you that education was not ready for AI? Do you remember? Remember I told you that earlier. AI will destroy modern education any day. Here's what I mean. Nothing is new for it. If you tell it what is photosynthesis, AI will destroy it. Anything fast, it will tell you. AI will make you lazy if you want to be lazy. But if you are willing to use it right, AI will double your effectiveness. Do you see the difference? AI can make you very lazy, or AI can make you like Isaac Newton. The same tool can do both. Which one should we want for our children? Let's help them become like Isaac Newton. That's exactly my passion in life, one of my goals in life. I want to raise the next Isaac Newton. What that means is that students that use my curriculum, they do 5 years of maths in a year. Because they have AI now. Why are you doing 1 year of maths in 1 year when AI exists? To me, that's like, why would you be doing that? You should be doing 5 years of maths in 1 year. So now notice what we are doing. You need to turn up the heat. That is the only way that the children will not be lazy. But if we give them AI in the current education system, it doesn't work. They will be lazy. It's too easy. Do you guys see what I'm saying? It's too easy. Make things, turn up the heat, and then now they have the tools. So now they won't be lazy because they have to think ahead. That is the only way out. Otherwise, many schools 3 to 6 months from now will be wondering what is the point of what we're doing if AI can just help our students answer any questions they want anytime they want. We have to make things a little more intense and gently, lovingly help our students to do more.
Thank you.
There's a question in the chat. Go ahead.
Yes, yes. You say, I'm curious and honestly a bit taken aback, maybe even a bit frightened by AI. I can imagine some students feeling the same way. How can a student even struggle? How can a student who struggle with imposter syndrome truly benefit from AI? How can they confidently use it, even if they still find it hard to trust or celebrate their own abilities? It's a serious one.
The funny thing about AI is that you can ask AI to teach you about AI. That's the funny thing. You can say, I don't know anything about AI. Put that in a prompt and say, teach the basics, right? And you can use AI to learn that. Now, your question is heavy. There's a whole book about your question. AI has some downsides, but just like computers have downsides, just like the internet has a downside, right? Every technology has downsides and advantages potentially. We have to be careful. AI is the sharpest knife we have ever made in the history of humanity. There has never been a technology as sharp as AI. Because again, remember, the whole internet is inside AI. And the infrastructure for finding knowledge has never been easier. AI has made it so easy to find anything you want. However, many students who want to be lazy or whatever might just use it to bypass their own thinking. That means that their own thinking abilities will get weaker because they are using too much of AI. We have to find a way to teach people how to navigate AI and their mental faculties. So my advice, my Counting to Calculus program, which is, we have a YouTube channel and we have a website called countingtocalculus.org. But we talk about training students to learn all the way to Calc 5. Without AI, actually, when we built Counting to Calculus, it wasn't with AI. It was manually built. And so our students can learn mathematics by hand and with a tutor. So there's somebody who's always walking alongside you. And that's what I would recommend, is that try and make sure that there's time to just learn with textbooks. Remember when I started this conversation, I talked about textbooks and Google. There is still a place to use those tools to learn. However, when you don't understand a concept, there's nothing wrong with going online and researching. Give me another example. I don't understand number 5 in my textbook. So you can use AI as a support system to help you build, they call it scaffolding, to better understand what you're learning. However, I predict there's something going to be called AI human tutors. I believe that's going to be a big thing because we have chess tutors. We have human beings who tutor people in chess. Why don't we have human beings who tutor others in AI? That is a new business. If you guys are interested in starting that business, let's talk. There will be human AI tutors where somebody will hire you and say, can you teach me AI while we use it together? Does that make sense? Let them be next to you and help you learn how to use AI. But the good thing about AI is you can ask it to teach you anything and break it down and say, teach me this concept like I'm 6 years old. You can literally put that in your prompt and AI will break it down for you like it's for a 6-year-old for whatever you are learning. There are certain things that I have not mastered in quantum physics. I will use AI to help me understand it better. But I will say one last thing. Dr. John Lennox has written a book called 2084. The name of the book is 2084. And it does talk about some of the downsides of AI if we don't pay attention. AI is a great tool, and we need more people to go into AI research and AI engineering. But we also need to make sure people understand the downsides as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Amos. Still on, yes, thank you so much, Jennifer, for that very, very interesting question. Still on AI and the concerns around AI, what would you advise students on the best way to interact with this technology in terms of, use and ethical use? Actually, what would you recommend? And of course, what skill also, another question here is, what skills should students prioritize developing that AI cannot replace? Yes, I'm sure that is from a concern students. We are looking at AI, and we also know that AI might not necessarily be coming, might not be necessarily out to replace human. Like they always say, AI is not going to take your job, but if you don't get used to AI, if you don't know how to use it, you know that it's definitely going to do it. So the question now is, what skills should students prioritize developing that AI cannot replace? That's one. And then how do we now develop this ethical use of or interaction with the technology?
So the first part of the question, develop more human skills. And that is the very thing that sometimes we don't have enough of. That is interpersonal communication, talking with people, empathy. These are things I cannot do. So you want to be the best communicator you can be. Both interpersonal communication, public speaking, grow in those skills. Number two, philosophy. Grow in philosophy. Grow in understanding how to wrestle with ideas. Number three, understand history as it connects things together. You need to understand history because history and philosophy and the humanities is something that helps people who even become AI scientists to think better, to prompt better AI. So know history, philosophy. Our school systems, let me just tell you people, this one is free. What I'm about to tell you, I'm supposed to be paying $1 million, but I'll tell you. Our school systems are ignorant of what to do with AI. Let me repeat. Our school systems are ignorant of what to do with AI. You know why? Because they did not imagine it to enter their space. Do you know that schools right now, I'm serious, they have started talking about it. They don't know what to do. Some of them are saying, should we ban it? They said it before. Now, guess what they're saying? We can't ban it. Okay, what should we do? Guess why they are confused? Because nobody can catch anybody who uses AI to write papers anymore. So imagine a teacher that used to be able to catch students that use AI. Now they can't. What should that teacher do? When you submit a paper, what should the teacher assume? That you wrote it, right? But is that true? 80% of college students are using AI. So nobody knows who wrote any paper. Admissions counselors, guess what? They are saying, we will just assume that people have used it. Like, you almost have to assume that they've used AI. Like, let's not deceive ourselves because it is so hard to catch anybody. And guess what? It's only going to get worse. So the ethical side of it is this. You have to read more so that you write your own papers with your own mind. And when you integrate AI into it, you can do it without AI. And of course, with AI, that's fine if you are allowed to use AI. But if you're not allowed to use AI, you should be able to write your own papers. The biggest problem will come when they tell you to demonstrate your understanding in a job interview. And if you have been deceiving all the people along the way that you were the one doing it when AI did it, guess what will happen at the job interview? You don't enter trouble now. They'll tell you, oh yeah, explain this phenomenon. You'll be looking at them and say, I don't know. It's AI that helped me to get here. You don't want to be that person. So what, and this is going to happen. Do you know that somebody has written AI code that allows when you are doing a job interview, AI can be infusing answers or you can be looking at answers. Like now, there are some companies that don't even want to do job interview online anymore because they can't trust that the person they are talking to is actually talking from their own memory. Do you know that Zoom now has a feature on the right side of Zoom that allows AI companion to be allowed? So it can be telling you things in real time. So you see where the world is now. That means you have to be exceptional. In whatever you find your hands to do it with exceptionality and excellence. That is the key to surviving the AI age. You have to be like Daniel. I use that as an example in the Bible. You have to be very good at what you do. Be exceptional. Don't be average. This is not the era of average. This is the era of excellence. So find somebody that can tutor you in a subject if you are struggling, in addition to your AI model, so that you guys are working together. But make sure you keep human connections, communication, philosophy, human connections, and be the best you can be in any subject you find yourself doing. Those are things I'll keep in mind. But the reason why I told you about what I told you about the schools is that some of them still don't have an answer of the ethics of AI. So we have to use our own value system and be honest with ourselves and say, if I use AI for this, I need to make sure I actually understand it rather than just trusting AI blindly. I need to understand what AI is saying as well.
Wow, what a session! What a session we're having tonight. It's always, same us, we struggle to close our meetings with you. We're supposed to close by 7 o'clock, and I'm just looking at the time now, and I'm like, okay, we can extend this to 8, and I know you can go on and on and on, but it's always a pleasure to have you with us. It's always an honor to have you share with us from your wealth of experience and all your knowledge. So I want to also give another opportunity in case there's anyone that wants to ask a question you want to share. I think our time is up, but just to be sure that everyone is carried along. If you would like to say something, you can put up your hand quickly and I'll call you. Otherwise, I think we are good for today. Good for today. Thank you so much, Mr. Amos. Thank you, everyone that have joined us today. Yes, Jennifer, your hand. Okay, let's take Jennifer. Please unmute your mic and speak.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Amos. Good evening, everyone. I just want to say a very big thank you. I just want to, appreciate this session. It has been very insightful and very educational. Thank you so much for having been here. Thank you. Thank you for all the insights. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer. Of course, we cannot thank Mr. Amos enough, but I want to just appreciate us again for being a part of this. And of course, I can see that most of us here are already members of part of the High Flyers community. And of course, this is what we do every fourth Sunday of the month. So the next edition of our High Flyers event will be on the 23rd, on Sunday, the 23rd of November. 2025. So you want to mark your calendar, you want to make plans and make sure you join us early. For those of us that joined in late, I'm sure we'll be sharing the highlights and all of that with you so that you have something to catch up with. But what a day, what an evening we've had today with Mr. Amos. Thank you again. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you with us and every one of us. Thank you for joining, and I'd like to say special thanks to Dr. Alu for putting this platform for us to actually learn. Yes, Mr. Amos.
I'm so sorry. I know you're doing the thanks, but I promised you I was going to show you the website. And here you go. We now have my personal website for classical and accelerated computing, built for 14 to 18-year-olds in the UK and Nigeria. It tells them about all these things. And again, I can add color, I can add anything I want, but it's teaching me for myself. Like it's made for me in a sense, right? And so I just want to encourage us to, again, you can use AI to break things down. You can use AI to build sites to help you better understand anything you want to learn, and then add on a human tutor. And at that point, you are literally in the best case scenario of studying any subject. So thank you so much. Just wanted to show you that.
Wow. Wow. we better run out of this place before we go into another session. Thank you so much, Mr. Amos. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this. Look forward to seeing you on the 23rd of November. That's next month. Please mark your calendar, plan towards it, and be catching up. Thank you again, everyone. Do have a wonderful evening.
Take care. Bye-bye.